And the Giants have won the toss and they'll receive. And Al Del Greco will be kicking off for the Packers. The Giants will send Phil McConkey and Solomon Miller back. McConkey on the left. There is McConkey, who played 4 games for the Packers this year. You don't have to wonder whether he's pleased he's back in New York. Underway at Giants Stadium, and it's going to be McConkey at the 6. Brings it up to the 26-yard line where Elbert Watts makes the tackle. And Phil Simms, the Giant quarterback, comes onto the field and will face this Green Bay defense. Alfonso Carricker, Charles Martin back in action after the 2-game suspension, and Robert Brown up front. Tim Harris, Randy Scott, Brian Noble, and Bobby Leopold are the linebackers. Mark Lee and Mossy Cade, the cornerbacks Tiger Green and Ken Stills, the safety. First and 10 at the 27-yard line. And it's Joe Morris with a hold. And Joe Morris close to a first down. Tiger Green on the tackle. And a good block by Maurice Carthen. The rest of the offense, along with Carthen and Morris in the backfield, Bobby Johnson and Stacy Robinson are the wide receivers. Mark Bavaro's the tight end. Benson, Ard, Oates, Godfrey, and Nelson up front. And it's a Giant first down without a huddle. At the 37, Morris again. And he picks up a couple, and again, Tiger Green is there to make the stop.
Interesting, the Giants going with a no-huddle offense. They're going to do it again. Phil Simms calling the play at the line of scrimmage. Well, this will give their opponent in the playoffs something to think about.
2nd and 7. First pass of the day. Simms finds Carthen. Stopped at the 39-yard line. Short by 2.5 yards of a first down. It was Tim Harris with help from Tiger Green on the tackle. And again, a no-huddle play. The 45. Morris will be stopped, and the Giants will have to kick, and it was Green, but Charles Martin coming in also on the play, and Tiger Green was involved in all of the Giants' offensive plays on that opening series.
Not a bad way to start the game if you're Tiger Green, and that's really something unusual. The Giants haven't shown the no-huddle all season long, and you have to believe that's for somebody to see in the playoffs.
And one of the big threats that Bill Parcells worries about is Walter Stanley. You watch Thanksgiving Day, you know what he could do. Sean Landetta, Pro Bowl punter, will kick. And the penalty marker is down. And on a 4th and 3, if that's against the Packers, the Giants will have a first down. It is down by Greg Lasker at the 1. And it looks as if
I wouldn't automatically assume that may go against the Giants. The center was bobbing his head. I wouldn't assume that's going to be against the Packers.
Fred Silva is our referee, and the Giant offensive line started to come on the field, and now they're going off.
I think the Giant snappers moved his head.
That was a 54-yard punt by Landetta.
False start on the center. 5 yards and a re-kick.
You're not allowed to draw the defense off sides. Let's take a look at the center position right now. Is there head movement? Is there body movement before the snap? Yes, there it is. That's an illegal play. Good call by the refs.
Bernell Danta, the Packers, was drawn off, and so Landetta will now kick from inside his 25. And there goes Walter Stanley, whose 83-yard punt return for a touchdown won the Thanksgiving Day game over the Lions. Good kick by Landetta. Great kick. And the Giants will down it at the 1. That's Gary Reason. The question is, did the ball go over the plane and bounce in? And apparently it did. And Bill Parcells dreams of a Packer drive at the 1. Goes down the drain. They'll bring it out to the 20 following a 61-yard kick by Sean Landetta.
And what a break for the Green Bay Packers. Let's see if we can see the football. Does it go into the end zone? Well, the ball from that angle never seemed to touch in the end zone. Nonetheless, Packer ball at the 20.
And the quarterback is Randy Wright. In motion is Stanley. They got a throw. And Dan Ross, the tight end, is clobbered by Elvis Patterson. Here's another look at that punt, and did it get over the plane?
Well, it has to actually be downed in the end zone. The ball has to touch in the end zone. Boy, it did not touch the line there, at least from this angle. Boy, it's so close. I have to be honest with you.
If the player downing it is in the end zone, it's a touchback. In any event, 2nd and 10 at the 20. The pressure on. Dan Ross and Herb Wells drives him out of bounds, but the Packers will pick up a first down on the play. Gain of 11. Dan Ross, who has played in the Super Bowl with the Cincinnati Bengals, has a Packer first down. And the Giant defense, George Martin, Jim Burke back starting after 3 games on the sideline, and Leonard Marshall. The linebackers, great ones, Carl Banks, Gary Reasons, Harry Carson, and of course Lawrence Taylor, Elvis Patterson and Perry Williams, Kenny Hill and Herb Welch in the secondary. 1st and 10 at the 31. And Gary Ellis, they could call out Caruth, carries out to the 35-yard line, and a gain of about 4. Stopped by George Martin. Ellis and Caruth, the running backs. Eddie Lee Ivory and Walter Stanley, the wide receivers. Dan Ross, the tight end. And the offensive line, Ken Rutgers, Tom Neville, Carl Swanke, Ron Hallstrom, and Alan Weingrad. An offensive line that Forrest Gregg likes very much. 2nd and 6 at the 35. Caruth is the lone back. And he gets the call, stopped at the 39. It'll be 3rd and short. Lawrence Taylor and Pepper Johnson, who had an outstanding game last week against the Cardinals, on the tackle.
Well, the Packers right now trying to make the most of the break they got by getting the football started at the 20-yard line after a touchback. Again, I never saw the football go into the end zone, and it didn't appear that a player touched the football who was in the end zone. So, from my viewpoint, it looks like a pretty good break for the Packers, and they're going to try to keep the drive alive.
I agree. 3rd and 2 at the 39. That's Ellis in motion. Randy Wright goes to Ellis, who drops the ball incomplete, and he would have had the first down with ease. Byron Hunt was closest to him. So it's 4th down, and now the Packers will have to kick. Ellis normally sure-handed, and that's Bill Renner, who was re-signed when Don Bracken, the regular kicker, slipped in practice. There's Phil McConkey, who goes back for the Giants. 4th down and 2. Giants come storming in, and Renner gets it off, and McConkey on the run at the 29. Downed at the 30-yard line. And a short flare-up. Simmons on the stop. 31-yard kick by Renner.
And brought it out to the 20-yard line. The ball never went in, but Gary Reasons, while he had control of the football, had his feet in the end zone.
It'll be 1st and 10 for the Giants on their own 30-yard line. Just under 11 minutes remaining in the first quarter. That's Bobby Johnson. Sims up the middle. Bavaro open and gets about 9 yards. Ken Stills makes the tackle. Mark Bavaro.
Well, and Bavaro and Ken Stills exchanged Christmas greetings here early in the ball game.
What did Bill Parcells tell us coming into this game with the Packers?
Well, he said that Tiger Green and Kenny Stills are a couple of guys they're going to watch out for, that they really walk a fine line between making some hits. Bavaro wide open, gets the opportunity to turn upfield, and Stills takes him low with a good tackle. But Bavaro didn't like what was said afterwards.
2nd and 1, McConkey replaces Bobby Johnson. Joe Morris straight ahead. Penalty marker down, and Morris has a first down in the Packer territory at the 43. the tackle.
On the tackle, number 22, 5-yard face mask.
And that was Mark Lee. So when you talk about Green and Stills, it was Mark Lee on the personal foul face mask on that play.
Joe Morris capping off today a wonderful regular season as he works his way towards 1,500 yards. But what a huge hole in the middle. Boy, Mark Lee's hand went right by the face mask. Didn't hold on for very long. Didn't had it. Another close call.
1st and 10 at the Packer 37. Carson gets inside the 35. 10 Stills on the tackle. Carson with a tremendous blocking game against the Cardinals last week in a crushing block as a Packer is shaken up right now. It looks like Tiger Green on the field, and what a job Carson did last week against Leonard Smith.
Yeah, you wonder if Bill Parcells isn't letting him carry the ball today as a reward. He neutralized Leonard Smith, the Cardinals' strong safety last week, who Bill Parcells thinks is the best strong safety in the National Conference, as Tiger Green still down on the field. Let's see if we can see what happened to Tiger Green at the end of the play. Joe Morris, this time being the lead blocker for Carthon, puts Green flat on the ground, and during the block it looks like there was a problem somewhere with Tiger's leg. Well, I don't want to speculate whether it's a knee or an ankle.
Tiger Green, former Atlanta Falcon, who had a big day in his own right against Tampa Bay last week, including an interception and a sack. And he's out of the game, and Forrest Gregg will send in David Greenwood, number 49. In his place, it'll be 2nd down and 6 at the 33-yard line.
A good, legitimate, clean block by Joe Morris, though.
Ed Berry, a rookie from Utah State, replaces Mark Lee at cornerback for Green Bay. Sims with a lot of time has Stacy Robinson and a 1st down at the 25-yard line. And it was Mossy Cade that time who brought the Giant receiver down.
Stacy Robinson, who has played well in the lineup instead of Lionel Manuel. Just a simple crossing pattern as he works beyond Bavaro. Bavaro underneath. Those are patterns that take time, and that time the Giant offensive line gave Phil Sims all he needed.
Stacy Robinson with a big touchdown reception against San Francisco, and the best speed amongst the Giant wideouts. 1st and 10, New York at the Green Bay 24. This week, how do you describe your play? And he said, I don't describe it, I just go out and do it. 3rd touchdown reception of the year for Mark Bavaro, and the Giants lead it 6-0. Rutledge will hold, and Raul Alegre, who has been perfect in conversions this year, 26 out of 26. And it's 7-0 Giants.
Crossing pattern.
That drive, Phil Sims was 3 for 3, and the play that set it up was Joe Morris's 18-yard run and then the face mask penalty. Sean Landeta kicking off as the sun comes out for the first time. And it's Ken Stills returning. And Stills with a terrific return on the kick. Lost the ball, and then the fumble. Stills recovered his own fumble at the 46-yard line.
Let's look at Mark Bavaro. See number 55 in the middle of your screen, Randy Scott. He's going to try to cover Bavaro, and when he realized that Bavaro was going to go deep, it's too late. He's beaten by a couple of yards, and Bavaro with a good, sure-handed catch. That's always the sign of someone who has a good, soft hand, the way the ball just comes in and doesn't bobble around at all.
1st and 10 for the Packers on their own 46-yard line, trailing 7-0 with 8 minutes, 22 seconds to go in the 1st quarter. Officials waiting before they put the ball in play, and now we're set. Randy Wright
Perry Williams' heart is beating a little faster on his way back to the huddle. As we see right here, he's beaten by a good yard and a half by Ivory, who has to work back to the middle of the field. And boy, that ball was catchable. That was a perfectly thrown pass by Randy Wright. It would have been an excellent catch, but the ball was there.
According to Forrest Gregg, he says Randy Wright is easily his most improved veteran. He likes his third-year quarterback.
He likens him to Bart Starr with his leadership. This kind of player.
Ball on Caruth, the lone back on 2nd and 10. Wright gets hit as he throws and was going for Ivory. And Lawrence Taylor let Randy Wright know that he's in for it today.
Lawrence just works in from the outside, kind of a delay, working against the left tackle, Ken Rutgers. But it's when Wright is forced out of the pocket to come up towards the line of scrimmage that Lawrence comes in for the late play. Good thing he did, because Ivory was wide open on the play.
We talked about Taylor needing 2 sacks to beat Mark Gastineau's all-time record. But keep in mind that Dexter Manley is only 3 sacks behind Taylor, and he's playing tomorrow against Philadelphia.
The worst pass-protecting team in the league.
By far. 3rd and 10 at the 46-yard line. Wright gets Ivory at midfield, and that's where his forward progress is. Perry Williams made the hit, but they're 5 yards short of a first down, and the Packers will have to kick it away again.
Well, it's not always glory if your name is Lawrence Taylor. Sometimes you slip and fall just like mere mortals, and sometimes you get knocked down like mere mortals. Take a good look at that. You don't see it very often.
Bill Renner will kick to Phil McConkey for the Giants at 7 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock in the first quarter. And it's blocked. And it's picked off. Tom Flynn, touchdown.
Equivalent of an unassisted triple play. Block it, catch it, and run it in yourself. It's got to be nice.
13-0. And Allegre will try to make it 14. And Bart Oates is knocked over.
Sure, the Packers are contending that he's doing exactly what he did the first time he got flagged, that he's moving. Fred Silva, tell us what's going on.
Offside, encroachment, number 79. He assessed on the kickoff.
Donnie Humphrey of the Packers, and so they'll assess the 5 yards on the kickoff. It is 13-0, and already the Packers are ornery out there.
Well, this is a very physical team, you know. They just haven't been in the news lately for doing a lot of good, strong hitting. They play like their coach, Forrest Gregg. And you know what? All we have to worry is if the game gets out of hand score-wise, we don't want it to deteriorate on the field. That's a poor way to end the season for Green Bay. I hope it doesn't happen.
The conversion is good, and it's 14-0. And there's Tom Flynn, who started the first 6 games, failed to make a tackle in 1 game and was cut.
He's going to come in from the right of our screen. Now you see the mistake by Renner. He kicks it right into the overload. And Flynn blocks it, gets the perfect fly, picks it up on the run, and it's easy. But Renner has to kick away from that overload. He can't turn and punt it into the rusher.
He should know by now, Dan, that's the 3rd time Renner's punt has been blocked this year in the 12 that he's tried.
Of course, this guy, he doesn't care at all, does he? The Giants out front early. No surprise here, is it, Dick?
And, of course, the Chicago Bears are hoping that the Giants would somehow, some way get upset, giving them the chance to win tomorrow against Dallas, which you'll see on CBS. And, of course, the Bears trying to get their act together to defend their title with Doug Flutie at quarterback against the Cowboys, who faced their first losing season in 22 years. Meanwhile, right here, it's 14-0 in favor of the Giants.
Green Bay has to settle down right now and not try for the big play. I know you've heard it a million times, not try to do it all at once. The fact of the matter is they're not capable of doing it all at once. They've got to be careful, stay within their limitations.
It's going over to Paul Aktarut, 2 yards in the end zone. He'll down it there for a touchback. And the Packers will take over on the 20-yard line. Well, coming up following this game, NCAA college basketball. Number 5 ranked Illinois against number 4 ranked North Carolina.
And Illinois at 7-0, North Carolina 5-1. That game will be in North Carolina. Dean Smith, his own arena. That's not bad. You know, you got to have it named after you.
Doug Altenberger, he has that 3-point range for the Fighting Illini, and Kenny Smith, the senior, leading the Tar Heels.
Think this will be Stockton Stadium Sunday?
Don't think so.
Don't bet on it.
First and 10 at the 20. And that's Gary Ellis. And Ellis brings it out to the 24-yard line. Packers coming in averaging less than 100 yards a rush, facing the top defense against the run in the conference. Banks and Reasons on the tackle, and Forrest Gregg has made a lot of wholesale changes this year.
Well, he said in the past that he's very disappointed that he was the coach of an 8-8 ball club, and he didn't want that to continue. And while 8-8 must look pretty good from where they're at right now, he's got to be... I don't know that he really wanted to only win 4 ball games. Sometimes it backfires. It has this year.
2nd and 6, and Ellis again slices off tackle. Harry Carson was there at the 25-yard line. George Martin also in on the play. Harry Carson said this week that the Giants over the years, and he should know being 32 years old, have learned from the negatives in recent years to get to where they are now.
And a lot of it is because of his leadership going to his 8th Pro Bowl. Harry Carson, the most dominating middle linebacker. Mike Singletary might not think so, but over the last 7, 8, 9 years, I don't know that anyone has played the game as well in the middle as Harry Carson.
3rd and 4 at the 26. 3 wide receivers. Penalty marker is down. And the pass is caught at the 32-yard line by Walter Stanley, but there's a flag. Against the Packers, illegal procedure.
Illegal formation. 6 men on the line of scrimmage. 5 yards, repeat a 3rd down.
We've been talking about Carson, and these are the rest of the Giants who made the Pro Bowl team.
Of course, LT going 6 for 6. The one that's really interesting, a couple I find interesting, Brad Benson, NFC Offensive Player of the Week 2 weeks ago. Jim Burt going his first time. Sean Landetta, you remember the punt last year in Chicago. I thought that might have been his last punt for the New York Giants. That might be comeback of the year.
3rd and 9 at the 21 after the penalty. Right. Goes cross field. Incomplete to Paul Aktarut in a crowd. Defending was Elvis Patterson and Kenny Hill, and so it'll be 4th down. And Renner, who had his last punt blocked in a play that resulted in a Giant touchdown, will be kicking again.
And he better take a good long look as to which side the overload is going to come from and kick it away from that.
McConkey is deep for the Giants, who look for good field position, perhaps.
The overload is to his right. He better kick away to the left.
And a good kick by Renner. McConkey at the 29. And a good play by Mark Lewis for the Packers. 4 and 1 touchdown pass. 1st and 10 at the 33 for the Giants. Trips at the 45 and is down at his own 46-yard line, and the first turnover of the ball game.
And Phil Simms is injured. He's limping off the field. He took a shot at the end of that play. Let's look at it from behind. Simms is going to get some pressure coming in from the left-hand side. I think it's Tim Harris who comes in and hits him, but a big leak throw to Joe Morris, who should have handled that easily. He kept it alive just long enough for Mark Lee to play catch with him and take off with it, but Simms was hobbling as he went off.
And for Mark Lee, 9 interceptions and a career high.
And one more, and he would tie the Green Bay Packer record.
First and 10 Packers on their 46 and a break for Green Bay. Pass caught by Dan Ross. Kenny Hill puts him down, and a gain of about 7. So Sims, who goes into the game with a swollen left hand.
Let's look at the end of that play. Driven to the ground by Tim Harris. Didn't look like anything unusual there, but he got up and he took one step and stopped, as we see, still walking kind of gingerly on the sideline.
He hasn't necessarily convinced all the fans, and his numbers have not been all that impressive, but he's gotten the big wins and the clutch plays when he's needed it. Packers, meanwhile, 2nd and 3 on their 40-something. Ellis. Good second effort. Flag is down. Ellis close to the first down yardage. Gary Reasons and then Harry Carson in on the play. But there's a penalty. And it goes against the Packers. That would have nullified a first down. Did nullify one.
Offense, number 81. Holding. Repeat. 2nd down.
That's Ellis, who carried the ball, and Dan Ross, the veteran tight end, who was holding on the play. So instead of a first down, it'll be 2nd and 13 for the Packers on their own 43.
Now the heat will be on. Lawrence Taylor, 2nd half away from time. They have to wonder if he'll be back in coverage on this play. Somehow I think he might be in the backfield.
And now Randy Wright moved Ross, strong side left, the tight end. Wright has time, flips it to Ellis, who drops the ball. Incomplete pass to normally sure-handed Gary Ellis out of the backfield. And it'll be 3rd and long.
The Green Bay Packers want to put a tight end in front of Lawrence Taylor. Here's Taylor standing right here. We're going to bring a tight end over and put him in his face. Taylor's going to move back to the weak side. The games people play. Here comes Ross. Taylor says, bye-bye. I don't want anything to do with you. I'll rush from the weak side.
3rd down and 13, and you always have to keep an eye on number 56. Meanwhile, Kenneth Davis has come in and replaced Gary Ellis on 3rd down. Inside handoff to Paul Montarouk. Gets nothing and a fumble. And the Giants recover. And it was Jim Burton who recovered the fumble for the Giants.
Now Green Bay doing their very best to take a bad situation and make it worse. This time turn the ball back over to the Giants. Let's see if we can see Kerr's fumble inside. Well, the ball definitely comes out before he's down on the ground, and it comes right down between the legs of Jim Burt, who just picks it up and cradles it. So, turnaround is fair play. Morris fumbles. Actually didn't fumble, but bobbled the ball so the Lee could make an interception, and now Caruth turns it around and gives it back to the Giants.
And these are the kind of errors you saw we had today. The most spectacular one was the block punt touchdown by Tom Flynn. And the Giants have the ball in Packer territory at the 45. Morris. And Morris can't get away from Tim Harris, who has been the outstanding defensive player for the Packers this year. Rookie out of Memphis State, leads the team in sacks. And a loss of 1 on the play.
Tim Harris, a player that Forrest Gregg thinks is his best athlete up front. He's 6'5", 235, and by far and away their most skilled pass rusher. You think it might come from the defensive line, but Timmy Harris from his outside linebacker position, sometimes he even gets down like a down lineman.
2nd and 11 at the Packer 46. Sims up the middle, and it's caught by McConkey inside the 25. Mark Lee tried to get a hand on it. It almost did. McConkey with a catch, 23 yards.
Working from the slot position, it's just man coverage. Working against Mark Lee, takes the outside, and then, boy, that's just a perfect throw. And boy, what a nice catch that time by Phil McConkey. Sims again, though, sat in the pocket, didn't have anyone in his face, didn't get it afterwards. That's the way a quarterback gets confidence.
Ken Stills on the tackle. 1st and 10 at the Green Bay 23. Morris tripped up, and he might have gone all the way if he had not been by David Greenwood. And there's Phil McConkey, who on his locker still has his name and number that he had in Green Bay. A reminder of his days in Green Bay. He says, I knew what it was like, and I'm glad to be back with the Giants.
And he really parted, really holding no ill feelings at all towards the Packers or Forrest Gregg. He was quick to tell us that. Forrest brought me in, sat me down, explained the situation, and I really think a great deal of the man.
2nd and 2 at the 15. And Carson may have a Giant first down at the 12. Alfonso Carricker on the stop, and it is a New York first down with a minute and a half remaining in the first quarter.
And the Packers have to wonder if that's not a minute and a half left in the third quarter. This game is dragging on as they are making some plays offensively, but then making a dumb penalty or a turnover. And their defensive football team has played this entire first quarter. This is not a good sign for Green Bay at all.
1st and 10 at the 11. Morris inside the 5, and almost another first down. He fumbled after he was down.
Yeah, Joe Morris hit the ground before the ball came out, but again, behind the lead block of Maurice Carthen, he makes his break back to the outside, but look how the Packer defensive line has moved back off the football. But Joe Morris's right elbow hits the ground, he's down. Clearly no fumble on the play.
Already 49 yards for Morris, who has broken his own club record rushing, coming in at 1,400 yards this year and 7 100-yard games.
Keep in mind, this guy didn't even have a training camp.
Reported right before the opening Monday night game with Dallas. And a penalty marker down as Morris goes in. Touchdown Giants pending the flag.
Well, the Giants will tell us. Looks like it's against Green Bay.
24-56 defense. Offside. Decline.
The 14th touchdown of the year for Joe Morris. And a 20-0 first quarter lead, and the Giants obviously not taking any chances here in their final game of the year to nail down the home field advantage. And now Raul Alegre. 29 on the year for Alegre. What a great pickup he was for the Giants.
By Lawrence Taylor.
The Giants leading 21-0 and could be playing 2 games here at Giant Stadium en route to that city in California where CBS will be, by the way, in January. The Packers come out 2nd down and 7 on their 35-yard line. Caruth, the running back. Who comes up to make the play. We give Taylor enough credit. Let's have Gary Reasons, who's had an outstanding year, come in.
How do you measure the worth of this linebacking core to the New York Giants? Normally on a football team, you'll see a free safety, somebody like a Ronnie Lott, who might be the leading tackler, or one of the defensive linemen works in there, somewhere in the top 4 or 5 players. On the Giants, Banks, Reasons, Carson, and Taylor are the top 4 tacklers.
3rd down and 8 at the 34. Pressure for Wright, flag down, and the ball caught by Eddie Lee Ivory. It would be enough for a Packer first down. Herb Welsh on the stop, but there was another penalty, and most of them have gone against Green Bay so far. Not this time, and that will be declined. And
56 defense. Offside.
Overzealous was Lawrence Taylor, and it'll be a Green Bay first down at the 47-yard line, a gain of 14 to Ivory.
LT on the line of scrimmage. He must have been lined up offsides as He didn't take a step before the snap of the football, but you know, I don't want anyone here to lose sight of the fact that I think Randy Wright is throwing the football exceedingly well. The Packers have made mistakes that have brought back some of his plays, but I'm very impressed with him here early.
First and 10 at the 48. Another flag down. And Kenneth Davis is also down. Just shy of midfield by Kenny Hill.
And 2 more flags came in after the play. I think every official got rid of his flag while he could.
The Packers were holding on the play. Opening minutes of the second quarter. Forrest Grake's Pack trail 21-0.
65 offense, holding. 81 offense, holding. 10 yards, first down.
It was Hallstrom, the right guard, and Ross, the tight end, that time.
Well, it's a good thing it was on 2 different people, because when you get called for holding and only 1 flag comes in, you can always walk up to that official and tell him he's blind. But when you draw 4 or 5 of them, that's big-time holding. That time, though, luckily for Hallstrom, Ross was in on it as well.
Is there ever any small-time holding?
Yeah, the ones you don't get caught for.
First and 20 at the 38 following the penalty. Handoff up the middle to Kenneth Davis to the 41-yard line. You talked about the linebackers and how they are impressive in the Giant defensive core. You'll see it here, and keep in mind that not only do the Giants have 4 good ones, they have 8 outstanding linebackers.
Yeah, they have a backup core, guys like Andy Hedden and Pepper Johnson and Byron Hunt that could start for other teams in the league. But that 49% for the linebacking core, that's unusually high. And you know what that means? When you don't see a defensive back in your leading tacklers, that means nobody's getting into your secondary. You know, when you see a guy in the secondary as your leading tackler, that means there's a sieve up front.
And the Packers will call a timeout. And the Giants have brought in 2 rookies, Eric Howard and Eric Dorsey, up front, as Parcells likes to use a lot of people on defense in 1 year. Are well toward that goal as they lead at 21-0. Second and 15 for the Packers on their own 42. Right. And Eddie Lee Ivory, incomplete. Looked like he had it and then lost it. Incomplete. Kenny Hill and Elvis Patterson defending on the play, and Ivory, a former running back, now playing exclusively at wideout.
Eddie Lee Ivory just makes his break to the inside. He has to wait for the football, but again, it's right there. And how many times are Packer receivers and running backs going to drop the football today? Let's watch Lawrence Taylor at the conclusion of the play. He's going to drop Randy Wright, and he's going to get a little jawbone from the Packer bench. Some of those guys rode him a little bit on his way back into the field. He turned and said something, I think along the lines of, "I really didn't mean to do it." Of course he did. All defensive guys mean to do it.
Third and 15 at the 42. Mike Moffitt, number 82, in motion. Low snap for Wright. He's in trouble, and he's down. Eric Howard. And you listen to Parcells talk about Eric Howard, you think he may be the best of all of his young defensive players.
Eric Howard that time started from the nose tackle position. He's been playing a lot lately because of Jim Burt being hurt. Let's watch his upfield move. He's going to fight around the center and splits the gap between Swanky and Neville. And then good hustle comes down, and the word Parcells used to describe Eric Howard was relentless. He was on that play.
Bill Renner is in to kick for the Packers, and McConkey goes back for the Giants. Wobbly kick. McConkey at the 26. Flag down. 2 flags down. And that's been the story of the game, and it matches one of the Green Bay colors, gold. David Greenwood on the stop, and a 36-yard punt.
And I think it's going to be called against Greg Lasker, number 46. He really came in from behind. That one was obvious to everyone in the stadium. Lasker of the Giants came in, Dick, and really put a shot clearly clipping or illegal blocking from behind, but there may have been more than just one.
89. Check. 46. Holding. 51. Downfield. We're going to replay.
You had it right. It was Lasker, and it was Robbie Jones of the Giants. Of the Packers, I should say. Center will kick again to McConkey, who returned that one 10 yards. 12:27 remaining in the second quarter. Line drive kick, McConkey at the 22. And he's stopped at the 31-yard line by Elbert Watts. A 40-yard kick.
Always been rooting for the Giants. I think loyalty is something that appeals to people. People like being loyal to something. We're all looking for something to be loyal to. And I just happen to be loyal to the Giants. Loyal is a nice thing to be, no matter what you're loyal to.
You know, but Andy, I was a guy who played in this town on a Super Bowl team, and it was amazing. Even though we won the championship with good players like Namath, the Giants got more respect in us. What is it about the Giants?
I think that's always been proper. I think they're a nicer group of people. Always.
We have to wrap it up after him saying that. Now back to you, Dick.
Thank you, John. Very nice. Maurice Carthen after a 9-yard pickup. 2nd and 1 for the Giants on the 41. And this time, Joe Morris steamrolls ahead for a Giant first down at the 47. Ken Stills and David Greenwood both make the play on Morris.
You know, Giant tickets have to be tough to come by when Andy Rooney has to sit in the upper deck of the end zone. Andy, baby, I think you could do a little better than that. He's up in nosebleed heaven up there. He's so far away from the field. He's got to watch this game through binoculars.
1st and 10 at the 47. Kind of agree with you there. 11:08 remaining. Carthen fights his way close to midfield. And a gain of a couple. Randy Scott and Brian Noble on the tackle. Well, maybe next year he'll get better seats. The Giants lost George Adams. Keep in mind that they had expected Adams in his second year to be their all-purpose back-to-team with Morris. They lost him all year. Carthen has done the tremendous job blocking for Morris. That has come through admirably. 2nd down and 7 at midfield. Sims wide open to Stacy Robinson. He'll have the first down at the Packer 39, and David Greenwood brings him down.
Boy, and you talk about a cushion. Stacy Robinson this time working against Ted Edbury, rather, the left corner, who's dropped clear out of the picture. You don't mind giving a guy a little room to let him work underneath you, but I think 15 yards in Barry's case may have been a little excessive. Stacy Robinson may say, let's run that play again. Why not if you're going to have that much room to operate?
Good numbers for Sims so far. More important, the 21-0 lead. Under 10 minutes to go, Joe Morris with a good cut inside to the 31-yard line. Alfonso Carricker makes the stop. He has 68 yards, Morris, and not far from first down yardage.
Joe Morris, one of the things he does so well is change of direction. Watch what he does to Bobby Leopold, the linebacker, when Morris comes in. He's going to cause him to spin all the way around. Joe Morris will fake to the outside, back to the inside. He spins Leopold all the way around, and he just stands there helplessly. One of the things Morris does so well, change of direction.
2nd and a long one. Lee Roussan is in the game, but Carthen carries and fights his way for the first down. See where they spot the ball at about the 29. It'll be close. As the officials check the sideline marker. It looks to be a first down, and it is for the Giants with 8 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the first half. Mark Bavaro with a touchdown reception from Sims, a beauty, 24 yards. Joe Morris with a 3-yard run, and Tom Flynn's blocked punt returned 35 yards have accounted for the 3 scores. 1st and 10 at the Packer 28. Carthen, the setback. Sims gets hit from behind as he unloads by Brian Noble, who was blitzing from inside linebacking position.
I don't know if Phil Sims realizes how close he came to taking one right in the back. He ended up without even taking a shot, just having the ball hit and his throwing arm. And here's what Phil Simms saw downfield. He was going to go to his tight end, Mark Bavaro, and it is very difficult to be any more wide open than that. Extremely fortunate are the Packers that that ball was hit at the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 10 at the 28, and it's cold enough so that Simms has to blow on his hand all the time. Roussan and Carthen are the running backs now. Morris gets a rest. Simms on the blitz, being chased and dumps it away, and it was a tremendous blitz by Burnell Dent, the rookie from Tulane, who came in unscathed on that play.
Yeah, Burnell Dent is going to come from the inside, and this is him standing up right here. We're going to see an all-out rush by the Packers, but Burnell Dent comes up the middle untouched, and Simms, a good job of this time getting away from Dent. You have to have the quarterback under control. Simms very effectively got rid of the football.
It'll be 3rd down and 10 at the 28. Dent goes out of the game, and in the game for the Giants is Tony Galbraith. Efficient receiver out of the backfield on 3rd downs, making his first appearance.
Timeout number 2.
And the Packers will call their 2nd timeout of the first half. And we'll take a break right now with 8:17 remaining in the first half.
The winning edge, almost equal of what the Giants are doing.
3rd down and 10 at the 28.
And they may be here 2 weeks from today.
McConkey is out of bounds, and John Simmons was defending. The Rams and the Redskins will meet in the wild card game, and if the Redskins win, Washington would go to Chicago, and the 49ers would come and play the Giants here at Giant Stadium. And the only way Bill Parcells won't face the 49ers again will be if the Rams surprise Washington.
And the 49ers and the Giants have already played one time this year, and that was on a Monday night. San Francisco had a 17-0 lead and blew it and lost the ballgame.
Raul Alegre with a 46-yard field goal attempt to try to stretch the Giant lead to 24. And the kick is perfect. Raul Alegre has kicked 10 field goals in his last 12 tries. And this matches his longest field goal as a Giant. It's 24.
And when you go into the Giant locker room and try to talk to Raul Alegre about it, I mean, it's like, I don't want to jinx myself. I don't even want to talk about it. I'll see you after the season.
Gary Ellerson at the 1, returning for Green Bay. And Ellerson takes it down to the 24-yard line. 24-0. Let's tell you about tomorrow on CBS. It all begins at 12:30 with the NFL Today. The first game of real interest of the Redskins and the Eagles. Even though the Redskins know they'll be hosting the wild card, they lost last week to Denver, so this is a big game for them.
And they lost the week before that, so they do not want to go into the playoffs having lost 3 in a row. And then we'll follow it up with the Bears and the Cowboys in Texas.
Doug Flutie will start at quarterback for the Bears, who want to get their offense straightened out for postseason. 1st and 10 Green Bay here at the 24. Taylor was coming in, and the pass complete to Ed West, the tight end. And West makes the catch at the 29, a gain of 5. Elvis Patterson making the tackle, and Taylor was coming in strong.
And that's one of the things we were looking for, because this is Lawrence Taylor lined up at strong safety. Linebacker, 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 and another linebacker is out here. He's coming in from the strong safety position. Unblocked. Luckily, Randy Wright saw the blitz and got rid of the football. That's one of the things the Giants told us they wanted to do.
You said he'd be coming from strange places today. 2nd and 5 at the 29. Kenneth Davis, nowhere to go. And a fine tackle by Elvis Patterson. And they have to bring some players apart momentarily. And Patterson with a good play. He was out 3 games with a groin injury and came back after Mark Collins, the rookie, took over. But Elvis Patterson, who led the Giants with 6 interceptions last year, with a strong play there.
Disciplined football. He stayed at home when the flow went the other direction. His responsibility, after he makes sure it's not a pass, is to make sure that if the play comes back, it doesn't get outside of it. Good disciplined corner play by Elvis Patterson.
3rd down and 2 at the 32. Complete to Nolan Franz, and a penalty marker is thrown from way deep in the backfield, defensive backfield. It would be a Green Bay first down. Perry Williams on the tackle. Franz, a rookie free agent from Tulane, activated when James Lofton was suspended for this game.
Defense, pass interference. Inside where the ball was run. They'll take the run, the play, first down.
It'll be a first down for the Packers on pass interference.
Let's look at Lawrence Taylor. He's going to slip again on this play. You see how his foot goes out from underneath him. He ends up underneath Randy Wright. Lawrence Taylor's got to seriously consider changing shoes at halftime. The shoes he has on aren't working. He's slipped 3 or 4 times.
First and 10 at the 39. And the whistle blows. A penalty marker was thrown, nullifying that play entirely.
And that usually means one of the offensive linemen moved.
65, offense.
That was it, Dan. Ron Hallstrom.
5 yards, still first down.
5-yard penalty, former number 1 draft choice.
A lot of times that happens when an offensive lineman has to get out in front of a play or get back into pass protection, especially when you're on the road. Crowd noise is a problem as the wave is going around here at Giants Stadium. They've got reason to celebrate. Why not?
First and 15 on the 34. 5:50 on the clock. Giants in front, 24-0. Davis. And Kenneth Davis goes outside. One man to beat. And is brought down by Kenny Hill at the 16-yard line. Kenneth Davis, a 50-yard run. The first draft pick selected on the 2nd round out of TCU, and a big play for the Green Bay Packers.
Pepper Johnson makes a rookie mistake. This is Pepper Johnson lined up down. He gets upfield, but he has to hold contained. Let's see if he does it, because he's not going to do it. Watch how he gets inside, slips, and Kenneth Davis is going down the sideline. Johnson has to make that play when you're unblocked.
That's the longest run by a Packer this year, and it gives them first and 10 on the Giants 16. Paul Otkarut tests the left side and gets a couple. Perry Williams and Gary Reasons on the stop. The longest run of the year by the Packers. A 50-yard run, and now the Giant defense with its first challenge of the afternoon.
And the Giants defense is slipping and sliding all over this football field.
Second down and 7 at the 13. Right as Ivory, and Eddie Lee Ivory will go in for a Packer touchdown. And Randy Wright, sparked by the 50-yard run by Kenneth Davis, concludes the drive with a pass to Eddie Lee Ivory, and the Packers are on the scoreboard, trailing 24-6.
Like I said earlier, Randy Wright doesn't appear to be a quarterback that easily loses his composure. He's remained solid in the pocket. He's been pinpoint with his passing, and now he's finally getting some help from his receivers and backs. They're holding on to the football.
Al Del Greco with Joe Shields, the third quarterback, holding. And the kick is good, and it's 24-7. And for Ivory, that's his first touchdown reception of 1986.
It's just man coverage. He and Perry Williams, Eddie Lee Ivory, going to work underneath. And Williams gives him the big coverage. Heads for the goal line, and the Packers, not all the way back, but they're working on it.
For Randy Wright, who has had 4 passes dropped today, and a gutty quarterback, only the second Packer quarterback in history to pass for more than 3,000 yards. Lynn Dickey did it 3 times. And it's 24-7. And Del Greco will be kicking off for the Packers. McConkey and Solomon Miller are back. And it's McConkey on the 10. Down shy of the 30-yard line. Well, Christmas Day is a big football-basketball doubleheader on CBS. First, Tom Heinsohn and I will call the action from Madison Square Garden. Michael Jordan, there may be no better individual show, Dan, in the NBA, brings the Chicago Bulls against the New York Knicks.
And then we'll follow that up with a little football. How about the John Hancock Sun Bowl? Don James will take his Washington Huskies against Ray Perkins and the Tide of Bama. That starts at 2:30 live Eastern time. And, of course, Ray Perkins has been on the floor of this stadium before.
And Don James, the guy you're associated with.
He recruited me to go to the University of Michigan. And now the dean of Pac-10 coaching.
Well, that must mean he's the oldest in the point of circus.
No, he runs their school.
Joe Marcus goes to the 32-yard line, a gain of 3. As you see the time, less than 4 minutes to go in the half. Burnell Dent and Tim Harris on the stop. 24-7 the score, and that momentarily quieted the crowd. But the Giants firmly in front in this game. And, of course, a victory nails down the home field advantage in the playoffs, which is what this game means to the Giants. Wasn't there. Stacy Robinson, the intended receiver, covered by Ed Berry. Now, Sims is a guy that did not get named to the Pro Bowl this year.
And a lot of his Giant teammates are upset about the fact that he didn't get named. They thought because of how well the Giants have done that Sims should have been there. The two NFC quarterbacks are Jay Schrader of the Washington Redskins and Tommy Kramer of the Minnesota Vikings, with Kramer being the starter. The thing that hurts Phil Sims coming into today's ball game was an 18 touchdown passes against 20 interceptions. That's a poor ratio.
3rd and 6 at the 23. Sims under pressure, dumps it off to Galbraith. Tony Galbraith brings it up. Flags fly again. Down to the 39-yard line by Elbert Watts and David Greenwood. That was Sims' first completion, Dan, excuse me, after 4 incompleted passes.
And I was going to say, what a job he did staying alive. That should have been a sack.
On the tackle by the defense, grabbing inside the helmet, 5 yards. That'll make it a first down.
I think Elbert Watts is the fellow called. Let's get a look at it. No, he's actually got him underneath the helmet from the side. But nonetheless, you cannot grab onto the headgear on any part of it, not just the face mask. You can't hook your fingers underneath it or inside of the face mask. Good catch that time by the official.
And the litany of mistakes today by the Green Bay Packers goes on. 1st and 10 for the Giants on their own 43-yard line. And now Forrest Gregg wants to talk to the official, to the referee. And I think that Gregg, obviously unhappy with the flag that he obviously feels the Packers don't all deserve.
Well, remember when we talked early about concentration? Again, we go back to the James Lofton situation and having a poor day yesterday, and he thought some of his players were having trouble holding it together. And I think Forrest Gregg voiced that concern to us last evening, Dick, and I think we're seeing it on the football field here this afternoon.
Not in Randy Wright's case, though. 1st and 10 on the 43, and the pass is intercepted by Ken Stills. And Ken Stills brings it deep into Giant territory and may go all the way, and he does for a Packer touchdown. Packers get back in this game. A 58-yard return from an interception by Ken Stills, and it's 24-13.
And this is a pass that just floated on Phil Sims. He's trying to find Mark Bavaro, but he overthrows him badly. And Ken Stills, who was playing deep zone, just stood and waited for the football. But what an effective job he did. And look at the block by Robert Brown on Phil Sims that allowed Stills to get the touchdown. But a poor pass that time from Phil Sims. Overthrew Bavaro by a good couple of yards.
First interception of the year for Stills. And Al Del Greco. converts for the Packers, and all of a sudden, after a 24-0 lead and 2:52 remaining, the interception by Sims, and the Packers now trail 24-14.
5 or 6 minutes ago, I think the Giant bench reflects Giant Stadium. A lot of mumbling going on out there, Dick. The wave has stopped.
Yeah, the wave calmed down in a hurry. Packers have scored 14 points in 1 minute and 19 seconds, and the look on Phil Sims' face show you probably the look on all the fans' face as well. (24-14), and Del Greco will be kicking off. McConkey on the right, and Miller on the left for New York. The kick bounces into the hands of McConkey at the 14. They're down at the 33-yard line is Phil McConkey, and the tackle by Gary Ellerson. 2:44 remain in the first half. The Giants have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. And coming up, Don Shula and Dan Rooney to discuss instant replay, and you won't find 2 classier gentlemen in the game of professional football than those 2. First and 10 at the 33. Morris slips. You think Morris ought to change his shoes too? What's going on out there?
Well, let me tell you something. This field is slick. And every time that I played on a field that was slick, I wore a new pair of shoes because the cleats are sharper around the edges. And I really have to wonder if a lot of the Giant players are wearing new shoes because they're really slipping and sliding much more than the Packers. So you have to wonder if the Giants, who practice on turf an awful lot, maybe some of these guys shouldn't change shoes at halftime.
Second down and 10 for the Giants on their 33-yard line. Sims getting pressure, and his sack. The whistle had blown, and it was Tim Harris with his 7th sack of the year. He leads Green Bay.
And Tim Harris, that time nothing more than perseverance, got him to the quarterback. You're going to see him here, see Tim Harris 97 against Maurice Carthen, but he's blocked. Carthen stays with him, even though he gets driven back into the pocket. But Phil Sims unable to get away, and that's where it stops right there. In the grasp and under control, and the Packers take a timeout. They want to get the football back.
It's their last timeout. It'll be 3rd and 23, and Tim Harris, a tremendous pass rusher and 6'5", tough to throw over when you want to do that. And for Phil Sims, who was just sacked, 3rd down and 23, back at the 20. Sims dumps it off to Galbraith. Down at the 26-yard line by Bobby Leopold and David Greenwood. It'll be 4th down and the 2-minute warning. Means that a lot of you, your lives, and that was dramatic, but certainly your livelihoods could be at stake in the final game of the year. And lately, the Packers in the last few minutes have shown light. Sean Landetta will kick from inside the 15 on 4th and 17, and there's a big threat in Walter Stanley. Keep in mind the Packers are out of timeout, and Stanley at the 25. Great coverage by the Giants, and Blake Lasker makes the play back at the 22-yard line. A 49-yard kick and good coverage. Again tomorrow, Dexter Manley looks for the sack record, and Joe Gibbs wants to get his team ready.
And of course, the Eagles have only given up 99 sacks already this year. They passed the NFL record 20-some sacks ago. So they're going where no man has ever gone before.
And the Bears and the Cowboys, and Doug Flutie at quarterback for Chicago in game 2. It all starts with the NFL today. 1st and 10 at the 22. No timeouts remaining, and 1:43 on the clock for the Packers. And a bad snap. And overthrown Mike Moffitt. And Wright really didn't have much choice on that play.
No, he really didn't. He did a smart thing. Don't throw it to the middle of the field where even a tip or something might keep it alive. Throw it into the bench and start again with no timeouts. The short little 5- and 6-yard pass is just exactly what the Giants are going to let them throw. They've got to work the sidelines with the deeper routes to try to make the catch and quickly get out of bounds.
Giants led 24-0. The Packers scored 2 touchdowns in 1 minute and 19 seconds, including a Ken Stills 58-yard interception and touchdown, his first NFL career score. 2nd and 10 at the 22. Lasker follows Stanley. And the pass out of the backfield, Eddie Lee Ivory. And Ivory out of bounds. Welch riding him in a little stiff arm, and the Packers will stop the clock and get a first down after a gain of 21.
And Ivory, even though he made the good catch and a good run on the sidelines, he's very close to drawing a face mask call. You know, if you're an offensive player, you can't go to the face either. And watch what he does to Welch with the hand on the face mask. I'm sorry, but that's a penalty all the way. There's no way that an offensive player can do that. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, and I'm afraid it doesn't work both ways.
1st and 10 at the 43. No argument.
I like that when you don't argue with them. That makes me feel good.
At your size, not a chance. Right, going deep for Moffitt, who's there to make the play. And out of bounds at the 23-yard line. Mike Moffitt stopped by Kenny Hill, and a gain of 34 yards to the rookie free agent from Fresno State.
And the man he beats is Greg Lasker. Lasker behind on the play, and Mike Moffitt, who doesn't really have great speed, poorly played that time by Lasker. And I think there are a lot of disbelieving people here in the Meadowlands.
Only his 4th catch of the year, and this game is turned around. With 1:25 on the clock, Packers already in field goal range have a 1st and 10 on the Giant 23. Was trying to go to Nolan Franz and was directing traffic. Wisely stops the clock, and Dan, we've talked about him, but I got to admire Wright's poise.
I do too, and he's getting some solid protection. They're neutralizing Lawrence Taylor. This time it'll be Ken Rutgers, number 75. He's just going to ride Taylor deep. No, that's not holding. He had his hands to the inside, and Lawrence Taylor's being taken away from the pass rush. Open downfield. Wow, can you believe that? Poor choice that time by Wright to go across the middle.
4 wide receivers, 2nd and 10 at the 23. Pass to Stanley, who's hit hard by Gary Reason. And the clock runs with 1:10. It is an injured player is Stanley. That's the first catch of the game for Walter Stanley. And the clock stops at 1:05 in the first half.
Well, Walter Stanley is awful small to be sending inside. He's just going to get whammed from the inside right here by Gary Reason, who outweighs him by 50 pounds. Walter only 5'9", 175 pounds. And he is down for the count, and I'm not very surprised by that at all.
And already, you know, the Packers with James Lofton suspended after his arrest on a sex offense charge, not playing in this game. Philip Epps on injured reserve. The Packers are awfully thin in wide receiver, and now we understand they're going to run 10 seconds off of the clock.
Well, the Packers, remember, had used all 3 of their timeouts. And there is an injury timeout, but they'll take one of your remaining timeouts. When you don't have any, they run 10 seconds off of the clock.
Third down and 4 for the Packers on the Giants 17.
Tied, and their 4th timeout. We run 10 seconds off the clock. They'll go from 1:05 to 55 seconds.
Now, 3 weeks ago, the Giants rallied from a 17-0 deficit to beat the 49ers, so they know you can never have a safe lead at this point. Not saying that the Packers and Giants are even teams on papers, like the 49ers were a more formidable team, but you never know. Up the middle, incomplete. Moffitt was the intended receiver. And now on 4th down, Del Greco will come in to try to narrow the gap to 7 points.
If you're Lawrence Taylor, this hasn't been a fun first half. Watch what happens. He's going to get cut by Kenneth Davis. Then right in the face is Alan Weingrad. And you've got to admire the way the Packers are manhandling Lawrence Taylor here in the first half. He's looking for a record, but the Packers are looking for him.
On fourth down, Al Del Greco, who has connected on 6 of his last 7 field goals attempts, will try one from 34 yards. Joe Shield will hold with 46 seconds remaining in the half. And this kick is good, and the Packers, after trailing 24-0, have come up with 17 consecutive points with 42 seconds to go, and the Giants are in a ball game. This game, the Giants were leading 24-0. The wave was rampant throughout Giant Stadium in this capacity crowd, and then the Packers have come back to furrow the brow of Bill Parcells to the tune of 17 straight points. Eddie Lee Ivory on a 13-yard reception for a score. Ken Stills returned an interception 58 yards. And Al Del Greco with a 34-yard field goal, and the Giants talking things over.
That's Eric Dorsey on the left talking to Jim Burt. Dorsey playing a lot of nose tackle lately because Jim Burt, who's going to the Pro Bowl, has a herniated disc in his back and has really been bothered with it here towards the end of the year.
And look at the change in complexion of this game in the total yardage story. And by quarters, Del Greco will kick off. Solomon Miller on the right, McConkey on the left for the Giants. And the Giants have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. Heading over towards McConkey at the 9. And he stopped at the 25-yard line, and it was Elbert Watts who has been guilty of a penalty earlier, and that's where the Giants will take over with 37 seconds and 3 timeouts.
And Watts that time had a hold of McConkey's helmet and spun him around. Phil's going to the sidelines holding his head and neck. He'll be a little sore at halftime as the Giant trainers are going to take a look at him, but Watts that time definitely had a hold of McConkey's helmet.
First and 10 at the 25. Tony Galbraith is in the lineup. Pass is caught by Galbraith, one-handed, and he is hit at the 26 and a gain of only 1, and it was Bobby Leopold and Tim Harris, the 2 outside linebackers, who came up strong.
I need somebody to explain to me why the Giants aren't taking a timeout.
This far back in their own territory, especially.
That's him. Poor clock management.
Completes the pass to Bobby Johnson. That'll stop the clock at the 40 with 12 seconds remaining. John Simmons on the stop. A gain of 13, but the time doesn't look very good for the Giants from their standpoint.
No, that's a mistake by Phil Simms not to have called a timeout after the completion to Galbraith. What are you going to do with 3 timeouts in 12 seconds? Any way you look at it, you're going to go into the locker room with a timeout left. I don't know why he burned off at least 10 or 15 seconds by calling a play at the line of scrimmage.
First and 10 at the Giant 40. Loses the ball and falls on it. It was Tim Harris who made the hit, and he has been a pesky performer. Talk about Taylor. What about Harris against the Giants today?
And that'll be counted as a sack. He forced a fumble in the backfield, so officially that goes down as a sack. And the clock will start, and some, I think, the Giants are going to be content to get out of here.
Loss of 9 yards, and Bill Parcells will have some choice words, I think.
Sims came off the field after throwing that touchdown to Rivaro. Hardly anyone congratulated him. So it's either a question of they believe they're that good and they can turn it on whenever they want to, or they've just lost it. Now back to you, Dick.
All right, John, and only Bill Parcells knows what's in that mind right now and hopes that the Giants can straighten things out. They lead 24-17. Packers will receive the kickoff. Ellerson is over on that side. It goes out of bounds and a 5-yard penalty. And Alegre will have to kick it again. Let's take a look at how the game changed, not as far as who's leading, but the Packers in the first 4 possessions wound up with that kind of result, and then did things change?
Along with some help from the New York Giants, but 3 consecutive scoring drives, 1 an interception by Stills that's run in, and we've got a field goal there that happened after another Phil Simms interception, and 1 good drive where they started on their own 24 and went for 6. So the Green Bay Packers, a team that I think was ripe to be put away by the Giants, allowed to get back into this football game, and even though they're trailing by a touchdown, seem to be in control.
You know, things have happened like Kenneth Davis. We talked about the 50-yard run, which set up Ivory's touchdown, the first score of the game for the Packers. Not only the longest run for Green Bay this year, but the longest run against the Giants this year. So that's the way it's been as Elbert Watts, the man in the middle, gets set. And it's Ellerson at the 8-yard line for Green Bay. Ellerson's second effort brings him beyond the 25. Robbie Jones on the tackle. So the Giant defense takes the field against the Packers. How about Randy Wright's poise in the first half?
Well, I think it's been remarkable. Remember, even towards the end of the first quarter, we were talking about the fact that even though his team wasn't moving, you certainly couldn't lay it at his doorstep. Look at that, 11 out of 21, but that easily could be 15 or 16 out of 21 if you plugged those drop passes in and made them completion.
First and 10 at the 26. Kenneth Davis and Paul Otteruth are the running backs. And it's Davis. Finds a hole, and Kenneth Davis. First down and more for the Packers. Out of bounds at the 42-yard line. The stop by Herb Welch and help from Kenny Hill.
Lawrence Taylor this time lines up to the weak side. This is Lawrence. He's going to work upfield, but the lead block is going to keep him wedged to the outside. And Kenneth Davis is going to see Taylor to the outside, knows he has no choice, and the entire Giant defense caught to the inside. It's tough to blame Lawrence for that. He didn't allow him to get to the outside. Where were all the Giants? In the middle of the football field. They were on the ground.
At the 43, first and 10, 16-yard gain that time. Paul Otteruth dives forward and is stopped at midfield by Kenny Hill. And Forrest Gregg was telling us he likes what Caruth has done, but Kenneth Davis has had a difficult time in picking up the Packer offense, and the two of them have looked pretty good so far.
Well, his athletic skills are really something, talking now about Kenneth Davis. But he is our leading rusher coming into the game. Keep in mind, their leading rusher with 427 yards. Phil Simms came into this game with over Joe Morris with over 1,400 yards. And yet they're moving the football on the ground against the Giants now.
Second and 3, Davis. Not that time. Jim Burke. And they lost a yard or a half a yard on that play. It'll be third and about 3 for the Giants. Jim Burke, disappointed at not making the Pro Bowl in the 2 previous years. Made it this time, as you know. And very anxious to come back, as Dan had mentioned, after missing 3 games. Minute and a half gone by here in the third quarter. Third and 3, Packers midfield. Covering on the play. Incomplete. Fourth down, and Renner will come in to kick it away for Green Bay.
Yeah, Stanley didn't have a chance at that ball. It's good to see Walter back in the football game. Remember, he had to go out after going across the middle and getting hit by Gary Reasons. Herb Welch had good coverage on him that time, but that was a ball that was uncatchable. High and outside.
Renner will kick. McConkey back for the Giants. And a fair catch called for by McConkey, and it takes a giant roll into the end zone for the touchback. And a penalty flag is down at the line of scrimmage. After the 50-yard kick, Fred Silva will tell us about it. Ineligible receiver downfield by Green Bay.
Well, that'll be declined,
Kicking
certainly.
team, number 53, illegally downfield, decline. First down.
Bobby Leopold. There's Herb Welch, who's being tended to in the sideline. Welch was a 12th round draft pick in his second year out of UCLA. He said when the 11th round pick didn't play football, it kind of indicated what they thought of me. But he has come on and played consistent football. And playing in place of Terry Kennard, by the way, an outstanding player at free safety.
Went out 2 weeks ago with a knee injury.
First and 10 at the 20, Joe Morris. Morris to the 24. Gain of 4. Stills and Greenwood on that play. Morris scored 3 touchdowns last week against the Cardinals. The one thing that disturbed him, and I guess the Giants too, was the fact that he fumbled 3 times. And that's the one thing Joe doesn't want to get into going into postseason. Second and 6 at the 24. Sims short drop completes to Bavaro. First down. Fumbled it out of bounds. It's still Giant ball at the 38. Ed Berry on the stop.
In a game like this, go to your number 1 guy to get back the control of the offensive momentum. And that guy's Mark Bavaro. Wide open on the play, working against Bobby Leopold. A harmless fumble out of bounds, but this guy is so good. When you stop to consider, Dick, that he's only in his 2nd year out of Notre Dame, you really have to wonder how good can this guy end up being. And he's even a better blocker than he is a receiver.
Joe Morris trying to change direction. Tackled by Bobby Leopold at the 41-yard line. Leopold, a former member of the San Francisco 49ers, making his 7th start of the season, and wears a Super Bowl ring from the 81 championship year, and then went on to the USFL. Second down and 8 at the 41. Just under 12 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. The Giants lead the Packers 24-17. Sims with a lot of time as Stacy Robinson stays in bounds and gets another 4 yards. 19 yards. Good moves by Stacy Robinson.
Boy, don't you love to see that, working against Mossy Cade. Mossy gives him the outside, but the coverage is there. But Mossy he gets distracted somehow. But look at the move back to the middle of the field. Boy, don't you get tired of watching wide receivers after making that catch just give it up, step out of bounds, and not take the hit. Boy, that's the way to give some effort. Don't think that's not transmitted to every other guy in that offensive huddle.
They got the crowd in the game, but not themselves, and I think they have themselves in there. 1st and 10 at the Packer 40. Joe Morris. Flag is down, and Morris is stopped at the 36-yard line by Tim Harris. And this becomes an important drive for the Giants, trying to reestablish things, as you point out. But this call will go against New York.
Offense, number 60. Holding, 10 yards.
Brad Benson headed for the Pro Bowl.
And Brad Benson, I don't know anybody that's on a better roll than Brad Benson. This guy was the offensive player of the week in the National Conference 2 weeks ago for shutting down Dexter Manley. He's going to his first Pro Bowl after 9 years in the league. And the best news of all, he and his wife 10 days ago got an adopted baby. They've been waiting 3.5 years. And they are the proud parents of a little son named Tyler. You gotta be happy for the guy.
1st and 20. Leaps but can't hold on. Incomplete, and he was open. Downfield, Mossy Cade was the closest to him, and I know that Brad and Lisa Benson are looking forward to the coming years.
We're going to take a look at McConkey working again against Cade to the inside. This ball just a little high. If that ball's down a foot, Phil's able to make that catch. Yeah, I talked about Brad Benson being on a roll. I mean, you stop to think about all that happening in the last week. I asked him to stay over after the game, and I'm going over to the racetrack next door with him. I'm going to ask him to pick the double for me tonight.
Ezra Johnson, number 90, is in the game for the Packers. 2nd and 20, midfield. Pressure on Sims from inside. And this pass is caught. Bobby Johnson.
Nothing but Bobby Johnson working against Ed Berry all the way. And what a perfectly thrown pass. The concentration by Johnson, and that's how you beat the blitz.
Second catch for Johnson. He has averaged 22 yards. And now the Giants have a 1st and 10 on the Packer 19. but not before Morris got to the 13-yard line. David Greenwood on the tackle.
Let's look at Joe Morris. He's got his main man, Maurice Carthen, going to throw in the lead block. But again, it's a change of direction as the backside of the Packer defense is collapsed by the Giant offensive line. Joe Morris all season long has been making a lot of money by cutting back. That time the Packers weren't able to stop him.
82 yards on the day for Morris. 2nd and 4 at the 13. Carthen this time will be stopped short of a first down by about a yard. Bringing up 3rd and short, Brian Noble making the tackle. While Morris is trying to gain 100 yards for the 8th time this year, which would break his own record. Mark Bavaro, by virtue of his touchdown reception of 24 yards, became only the 4th Giant receiver in history to get 1,000 in a year. Del Schaffner did it twice, Homer Jones, Ernest Ray the others.
And I think Todd Christensen is probably the best receiving tight end in the game. But if you talk about a combination blocking and catching, I'd go with Bavaro.
3 tight ends, and Joe Morris picks up the first down. William Roberts, a tackle, was in there as a 3rd tight end. First down Giants inside the 10.
The Giants have, by virtue of the pass completion to Bobby Johnson from Phil Simms, have now put together a drive, something they had to do. They've got 1 touchdown lead. If they can put it in the end zone on this drive, now they're back firmly in control of a football game that they were on the verge of letting slip through their fingers. Good, solid drive by the Giants.
First and goal at the 8. Morris, Joe Morris, down to the 5. 3 more for Morris. Slippery getting through that line, and it'll be 2nd and goal. There's the time. Under 9 minutes remaining, 3rd quarter. Alfonso Carricker and Ken Stills brought down Little Joe that time.
Maurice Carthen that time put a lead block on Brian Noble that was audible here in the press box. I don't know what Joe Morris has planned for Maurice Carthen when their football season is over, but I hope it's more than just a pat on the back. It owes him a great deal. He has really contributed greatly to the success of Joe Morris.
11th play of the drive. Damian Johnson is the other back with Morris. Simms wide open. Bavaro touchdown. Reception of the game from Mark Bavaro.
And he wonders what all the fuss is about.
Allegre. Rutledge holding. And it's 31-17. That's the guy you said they had to go to get this thing going again.
And of course, he's going to be turned completely loose by the Packers, who buy the run fake all the way. Joe Morris to the inside. Remember, Damian Johnson was also on the wing to that side as a lead blocker. And Mark Bavaro wide open in the end zone pleases his head coach.
He just likes to hustle, play tough football, and take those myriad of vitamin pills. And there's the open as Allegre kicks off to Ellerson at the 2 for the Packers. Gary Ellerson gets by several defenders and carries it into Giant territory. And he was out of bounds at the 41-yard line, I believe, of the Giants. Byron Hunt made the stop, and a 58-yard kickoff return by Gary Ellerson.
Well, credit Ellerson with an outstanding play to the middle of the field behind the wedge, and he's quickly through. And the dive by Lasker isn't good enough, and Allegre, I think, has maybe got to come up with a little better effort than that. I know Raul has no dreams of ever being a linebacker, but you got to do more than wave at the guy.
And the Packers may be back in business. 1st and 10 on the Giants 41. Randy Wright wide open up the middle. Kenneth Davis falls down at the 35, and a gain of 6. Gary Reasons on the stop. So the Packers come right back, and Forrest Gregg would have to be proud of what his club has done in the way of comeback so far today.
And part of the reason, and he's going to be proud of it, is because of his offensive line play. The question, where is Lawrence Taylor? Last play effectively neutralized by Ken Rutgers, the left tackle. They're one-on-one again.
2nd and 4 at the Giant 35. Davis has room. Kenny Hill comes up, and Davis will have a first down for the Packers at the 30-yard line. 7:23 remaining, third quarter, and Kenneth Davis has 83 yards, and keep in mind he didn't start but came into the game as the leading rusher for the Packers.
You have to admire the Green Bay Packers, and in doing so, you have to admire any football player who steps on the field with no incentive to play. They're playing because they enjoy the game, and at the risk of sounding, getting over dramatic, you've got to like the Packers in their effort here today.
At the 29, Randy Wright, nowhere to go, unloads it, completes it to Ivory, and Eddie Lee Ivory has another Green Bay first down to the Giant 15, and a pickup of 14. Williams, Reasons, and Hill all in there.
Let's look at Lawrence Taylor coming from outside. He delays at first. When he sees Randy Wright is going to throw, look at the late hit. I'll tell you, that's real close, Lawrence, even though you got the hands up in the air. But Eddie Lee Ivory, the quick slant, but look at the cushion. Look at the cushion to the inside. That's a slow reaction by the Giants secondary.
1st and 10 on the 15. Caruth in motion. Randy Wright pumps once, wide open, touchdown, Kenneth Davis. A 15-yard touchdown pass, a missed assignment for the Giant defense, and Bill Parcells has seen an impressive offensive drive nullified by a quick comeback by the Packers, sparked by Gary Ellerson's tremendous kickoff return. Del Greco looking for the 24th point for Green Bay, and still 6:38 remaining in this third quarter. The kick is perfect, and once again the Giants can feel the heat of the Packers. Their lead has been cut to a touchdown again, 31-24.
Let's look at it from the end zone. That was Kenneth Davis lined up at the halfback position, just straight down the middle. And Gary Reasons just lets him run right by. He's got the man underneath. That wasn't Reasons' man. That has to come out of the secondary. Lawrence Taylor caught in no man's land as we see him there. Not rushing the quarterback. No one to pick up. Has to be a helpless feeling.
It's 31-24 now. The Giants lead again, cut to a touchdown, and Al Del Greco will be kicking off to Phil McConkey and Solomon Miller. Headed toward McConkey's way at the 9. And McConkey brings it out to the 30-yard line, where the Giants, with 6.5 to go, will take over. Well, coming next, NCAA basketball. Great matchup here, Dan, between Illinois and North Carolina.
Illinois perfect at 7-0. North Carolina 5-1. Doug Altenberger, All-American guard for Illinois. Not to mention a couple of pretty talented guys for North Carolina.
Kenny Smith, the senior guard, and freshman J.R. Reed. Dean Smith's own arena. That's where the game will be held. Coming up next on CBS. Giants have a 1st and 10 on the 30. And it's Morris. Joe Morris picks up about 4 yards on the play. The Packers have scored 24 points. And it's a tough day for the Giant defense, including that man, Lawrence Taylor, and that's the most points yielded by the Giants since their opening game against the Dallas Cowboys. Keep in mind, not all of them given up by the defensive unit, but that's a lot of points.
And a dry day for Lawrence Taylor. He has not spent much time around Randy Wright.
2nd and 6 at the 24. Sims to Bavaro. He's got it. First down at the 41. Leopold defending.
That's a pattern that Mark Bavaro runs very well, working towards the sideline. He's not one of those tight ends that just runs 5 yards downfield and button hooks and waits for the football. He can run any route in their passing tree, and that puts him over 1,000 yards on the season. The 66 receptions already are a Giant record for tight ends, and now over the 1,000-yard mark.
First and 10 Giants on their own 41. Morris. Joe Morris. Some fancy footwork. Gets nearly 8 yards, and Mossy Cave makes the stop on Joe Morris, who's approaching the 100-yard mark.
And this is a run that a lot of backs might have gotten caught at the line of scrimmage. Carson doesn't put Greenwood down. Greenwood's in a position to make a play. But look how quickly Joe Morris gets through the hole. And he picks up good, solid yardage. 7 yards, and that easily could have only gone for 1 or 2.
Bavaro gets a hand for going over 1,000. Hartman with Chris Godfrey blocking. Close to a first down. And in any event, into Packer territory. And it looks as if the Giants have that first down. It is a first down, New York, 5 minutes remaining. In the third quarter, David Greenwood on the stop. And to bring you up to date on Joe Morris, he has carried 19 times for 99 yards. So he's a yard away from going over 100 for the 8th time this season. Giants leading. 4:35 remaining in the third. Morris. Second effort. Gets back to the line of scrimmage as a result. Greenwood and Randy Scott. Charles Martin, who returned after his 2-game suspension for that flagrant foul. Jim McMahon said he'd never do it again, and Forrest Gregg told us yesterday he's not a dirty player.
No, as a matter of fact, he's one of his favorite players. I mean, he admitted that was a stupid play. But he said, you know, Charlie Martin is one of the best hustling players we've got.
Second down and 9. Sims steps up and hits Lee Roussan out of the backfield. Short of a first down by about a yard. David Greenwood on the tackle.
I want to get back to Charles Martin for just a moment and elaborate a little bit. You know, we were talking to Forrest Gregg yesterday about Charlie Martin and the play and the controversy that it's caused the Green Bay Packers. But one thing he said is, you know, the guy's a competitor, and he just got caught in no man's land. He saw the pass was intercepted downfield, and, you know, it's a coaching philosophy. You turn and hit somebody. You turn and block for the guy who's intercepted the ball. He said, obviously, a poor choice, but I can see where he gets hung up.
Morris back in the lineup after getting a breather has the first down for the Giants at the 35. ...104 yards, not only 8 this year, but his 16th career 100-yard game. And, of course, that sets a Giant record. 8 times going over 100 yards for Joe Morris. And, again, as Dan mentioned, didn't have any camp at all and reported just in time for the opening game against the Cowboys. Time remaining third quarter, first and 10. Morris. Joe Morris may have another Giant first down. He does. Inside the 15 or inside the 25. Stills and Leopold combined on that play.
Let's take a look. We're going to see a blitz right here. Brian Noble's going to come. We're going to get the down block, the scrape by Chris Godfrey. But watch how Morris goes back into the void where the blitzing linebacker was. Joe Morris knows once he gets to the line of scrimmage, go to the left. There's got to be a void. He's exactly right. He gets good yardage.
Roussan is in the backfield now, giving Morris another rest, and Roussan gets the call. Picks up a couple of yards to the 22. Greenwood and Donnie Humphrey were there. Roussan would have been the guy who would have been the man for the Giants if Morris had indeed stayed as a holdout.
And he had a very good training camp. Bill Parcells was pleased with the way that Lee Roussan carried the football during their preseason games, but hey, there was no question about it. When Joe Morris returned, he's the guy that brought him to the dance last year and this year as well.
Second and 8 at the 22. Wide receivers left. Sims, they got a hold of his jersey. He gets it to Moak. Zeke Moak will score for the Giants. receptions for Zeke Mowat. Allegre. And a flag is down. We saw Mowat make 4 receptions against New Orleans in his big comeback game.
One of them for a touchdown, and what a hand he got.
Defense, number 91. Offside. Good. Enforced on the kickoff.
Brian Noble, and will enforce it on the kickoff. So Mowat, that's only his 2nd touchdown, but a good comeback here.
Seldom does a big play occur without lots of people being involved. The first, Phil Simms getting away from a tackle. Randy Scott has him. Then Mowat is going to break David Greenwood's tackle, and then downfield, Stacy Robinson is going to make a block right there to the left of your screen, and he allows Mowat to get in. The effort by Simms, he gets away. Then it's Mowat breaking a tackle, and then Robinson helping a teammate. Championship.
Have scored since 1980 when they tallied 38 against the Dallas Cowboys. They lead at 38-24. Allegre kicking off. Elbert Watts at the 5-yard line. Return. Last time the Packers had a tremendous return of 58 yards, and Phil Simms with 3 touchdown passes today, all to his tight end.
Now, some of you, when you watch this, said maybe Phil Simms is in the grasp, that this is a touchdown pass that should have never occurred. But keep in mind, Randy Scott has to have Phil Simms under control. And clearly, having a handful of jersey is not having him under control. That time, the referee was very wise in allowing that play to continue. Clearly, Phil Simms was in control, not Randy Scott.
1:35 to go, third quarter. Packer offensive line has spearheaded comebacks twice today. Let's see what happens here. On the 19, 1st and 10, right. Out to Kenneth Davis, and Davis is stopped at the 23-yard line by Pepper Johnson. We're at Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Dick Stockton and Dan Deerdorf. 16th weekend of the year, and the Giants, who lead the Packers 38-24 here in the third quarter, looking for the victory that will nail down the home field advantage in the NFC playoffs coming up. And that man, Lawrence Taylor, who was looking for a couple of sacks today, has only 3 tackles on the afternoon.
And that's because the Packer offensive line, boy, they've been doing a good job neutralizing Taylor.
2nd and 5 at the 24. Eddie Lee Ivory was the intended receiver, and the pass thrown behind him. Right, gingerly testing his leg.
Yeah. The way he's acting, it looks like he got his foot stepped on. A lot of times the quarterback standing there gets stepped on by one of the defenders. Let's take a look at the conclusion of the play. Ooh, Lawrence Taylor right on the instep. No wonder Randy Wright was limping.
3rd and 5. 51 seconds remain in the third quarter. Right. Incomplete to Kenneth Davis. And Herb Wells covering. And a marker has been thrown at the 35-yard line.
And very quickly picked up.
All indications say it's against the Packers. We'll wait for the official. And it is. Renner's out on the field.
Offensive pass interference. Decline. 4th down.
That's when they're not sure who it is.
Bill Renner is in the game to kick, and Phil McConkey goes back for the Giants, who lead it 38-24. Short kick. Big bounce for McConkey at the 36. And nailed at the 40-yard line by Elbert Watts. Well, will keep you warm at least.
The newest in fashion, Raul Allegre with his little muffins on, his little, looks like he's auditioning for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Nick, you know, you would look fashionable in some of those.
I'm wearing them. 1st and 10 at the 40 for the Giants. 37 seconds remain in the third quarter. Roussan. He's dropped at the 44-yard line after picking up 4. Dent and Noble in on the play. Giants looking for their 9th straight victory, and the last time they won 9 in a row was way back in 1962. And looking for their 14th win in one season, something they've never achieved. And they'll go into the
Up here again. The third time will be tough.
What were you saying about Dan Dierdorf a moment ago?
Well, I think he deserves a little more money, to put it that way. I think he's a great color commentator.
Are you representing him in his negotiations with CBS?
I'm available.
Thank you very much. Well, back to you guys.
John, I'll tell you what. Dan Dierdorf is not going to mind that you continue that interview with President Nixon.
We'll be going.
By number 92 on the defense, 5 yards.
Ben Thomas, 5-yard penalty. Well,
We'll be going back to John Dockery for the balance of the football game. He can talk as long as he would like with the former president. Thank you for the kind words. By the way, a great advocate of the game of football. Maybe the nation's #1 fan.
You know, Bill Parcells, the clock didn't run on the play, as you could tell, and so they're going to have to adjust that. But Bill Parcells kind of echoes what President Nixon said, is that I don't think he wants to see the Redskins come in either. They still have not adjusted the clock. And, of course, it was a false start. It was before the play, so the clock, of course, didn't run. Second down and 1. Sims. And wide open is Roussan out of the backfield. And another penalty marker thrown. 31-yard pass play from Sims to Lee Roussan.
And that'll be a late hit. Roussan was hit way out of bounds by one of the Packers. And that's going to move it even closer to the goal line.
Defense, number 28. Personal foul, out of bounds. Half the distance to the goal
Elbert
line.
Watts, here it is.
A beautiful play-action fake. See Roussan break to the sidelines. He's way past Brian Noble. But he's initially going to be forced out of bounds right there by Noble. And in comes the late shot right up by the head. Bill Sims. He's rebounded here in the second half after a shaky second quarter.
First and goal at the 10, and Roussan is going to go in for the score. Lee Roussan. First touchdown for Lee Roussan. And the Giants have opened it up. First rushing score for Roussan, and the Giants lead it 44-24. Allegre as the Giants establishing their highest point total in at least 6 years. Most points by the Giants since 1972, when they crushed the Eagles 62-10, and another flag has been thrown.
For reliable trucks, Toyota.
Kickoff fielded by Elbert Watts, who can't get away. And down at the 11-yard line, Lee Roussan, who just scored his first touchdown rushing. Coming up next, undefeated Illinois at 7-0 against North Carolina at 5-1 at Chapel Hill, and a big test for Illinois. If they could stay unbeaten after that one, then we know of at least another Big Ten power. They're going to be good anyway. That's the story. We're early in the fourth quarter, and the Giants leading 45-24. First and 10, Packers on the 12. Farouk. A loss, and it was Carl Banks. And a loss of a yard. And a sullen Green Bay bench at this point. The Packers with a 4-11 record. It has been 9 years since Green Bay won as few as 4 games in a season. And even in the strike year of '82, they won 5. 2nd and 13 at the 9. And the Giants needed a spark. They got it from that guy today offensively. Randy Wright. And the pass up the middle to the tight end, Ed West, is complete. And that'll be a Packer first down at the 28 and a pickup of 19. And they're going to call it back.
Well, I need an explanation here. What are they? Fred Silva is saying it's going to be 3rd down, but
I don't see a flag.
well, I don't see a flag either.
But there are 5 guys in that huddle. They're looking at the replay to see whether it is an incomplete pass to Ed West, whether West indeed had possession. That's what they're checking. So 2 other officials are at the 28-yard line, so if it goes as a completed pass, that's where the Packers will get the ball.
Let's take a look at it from the end zone. I don't know if we'll be able to see it or not from this angle. Coming right towards us. The ball low. Ed West goes down for it. Very difficult to see. I can't tell from that angle.
Because his body kind of screened us from that side. And this is one of your longer looks.
The play stands as ruled. Incomplete.
It is an incompleted pass. Dropped the ball, so it was an inconclusive replay.
And that's the key. The replay would have to show that he did catch it to overrule the on-field official. They saw nothing to warrant that overrule, and so the play stands incomplete.
Brings up 3rd down and 13 at the 9. Randy Wright. And the pass knocked away, and flags fly again. And Eddie Lee Ivory was hit by Gary Reason.
And it's going to be Lawrence Taylor roughing the quarterback. Lawrence Taylor just drops Randy Wright. A little frustration by LT, I believe.
No sacks today for Taylor, and only 3 tackles. Fred Silva will sort it out for us. I'll tell you, Reasons gave Ivory quite a hit, too.
He really did. But Fred Silva threw his own flag, and I know it's because Lawrence Taylor hit Randy Wright.
And maybe Taylor understands.
Who knows? We may have offsetting fouls as there's another flag downfield, but that's the one I saw.
Got defensive pass interference. Will be declined. We have number 56, personal foul, roughing the passer, accepted, 15-yard previous spot, first down.
Well, it might have been Reasons on one side and here.
This is Lawrence Taylor. He's been stymied all day by Ken Rutgers, the left tackle. Out from the inside, another offensive lineman, Rich Moran, but that's clearly a late hit on Randy Wright. That's just poor judgment on Lawrence Taylor's part.
First down after the 15-yard penalty at the 24 for the Packers. Kenneth Davis up the middle, and Davis gets within a couple of yards of a first down, maybe even less than that. And the stop made by Taylor and Kenny Hill. We talked about how the Packers have won only 4 games, and that's the lowest amount of wins in 9 years. And they've been trying to get off kind of a rut that they've been following the last few, Dan.
And that rut is 500 football, as we see 4 out of the last 5 rather, at 8-8. Boris Gregg, the last two you see there in yellow, where he was the head coach, he just felt that's not good enough. I'll have to make wholesale changes if we're going to get better. What they've done, they've gotten worse before they're going to get better.
They have. Caruth will have the first down for the Packers. And the one thing that Boris Gregg told us when he made those changes, and some big ones, including the likes of Paul Compton, he says, I have 2 years left in my contract, so I feel comfortable in making these big moves.
Yeah, this is the third of 5 years for Boris Gregg, and a man who has won in other places. This man was a winner in Cleveland. He was a winner and a Super Bowl coach in Cincinnati, and the Packers have a great deal of confidence in Boris Gregg. Maybe the best offensive lineman that ever played the game.
Coming from you, that has a ring to it.
Well, people have said it before me.
First and 10 at the 35. Flag down, and Davis up the middle wide open, gets to the 43-yard line. Would be short of a first down by a couple of yards. Carl Banks, the primary man in there, and Gary Reason's also there. And another flag, and the Packers are pointing the Giants' way. In a penalty-filled game, most of them against the Packers, but roughing the quarterback against Taylor gave Green Bay new life. And Bill Parcells trying to see his team through into the playoffs in a game that has been much more of a struggle than he expected.
Or wanted. I mean, he wanted to give his starters lots of playing time. I don't know that he really anticipated them having to play this much under these kind of circumstances. Now, whether a coach will admit it or not, what he does now is look up after every play to make sure all 11 of his players get up. Bill Parcells now has to be concerned about not getting anyone hurt here in the remainder of this football game.
Penalty will be against the Giants, apparently, as they're talking things over with Randy Wright.
An illegal use of the hands to the face on the defense, a 5-yard penalty, but it's an automatic first down.
You heard it.
Well, it's on one of those 11 guys.
Has to be. First and 10 at the 40-yard line. 12 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. 15 penalties in the game. Twice as many on the Pack. First down and 10. Randy Wright. And the pass picked off. Perry Williams with his 4th interception of the season will give the Giants possession in Green Bay territory at the 46.
Let's look at it from downfield. Paulette Caruth is going to come out from the inside right there, get a hit on Taylor, so Wright has good protection, but he throws the ball to the sidelines and just didn't have enough on it. And Perry Williams alertly plays it well underneath and comes up with a relatively easy interception, but I don't know that he didn't pull a muscle a little bit after making that catch.
And that's the first interception thrown by Randy Wright in 3 games, and Jeff Rutledge is the quarterback for the Giants. Otis Anderson, the former Cardinal, is in there with Lee Roussan, and Roussan on the call fights his way to the 45, a gain of 1 yard, if that much. So Phil Simms will rest his swollen hand after going 18 of 25 for 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 to Bavaro, 1 to Moat, and 2 interceptions.
And a much-needed week off for Phil Simms and the Giants. Assuming they go on and win this football game, it may be the 49ers, maybe the Redskins. It can't be the Redskins or the Rams. Either 49ers or the Rams will be here.
Second down and 9, and Roussan finds an opening, and Roussan close to a first down. At the 37-yard line, Brian Noble and help from Mike Weddington on the tackle. So the new Giant quarterback is Jeff Rutledge, who has completed his only pass this year for a touchdown. Former Ram is in his 8th season, and of course only 2 Giant quarterbacks active, and if there was ever an emergency, Tom Flynn would be the emergency QB for the Giants. 3rd and 2 at the Packers 37. And the call to Otis Anderson. And Anderson appears to have the first down. It is. And we asked Bill Parcells the other day about Otis Anderson's role, and he said strictly insurance.
Insurance and a receiver. That's how he's been used primarily this year, but he really is the only other guy in their backfield, other than Joe Morris, who has a great deal of NFL experience as being the primary running back. As long as Joe Morris is healthy, O.J. Anderson is not going to be the main man, but this guy, before he's over, before his career ends, is going to rank among the NFL's best in total yardage.
First and 10 Giants on the Packer 36, and Otis Anderson falls down and gets a couple of yards before the Packers nail him. And so the Giants now 9 minutes and 40 seconds away from the best that they could do when they started this year going into the playoffs, and that is win their division title and have the home field advantage for the playoffs. And as Dan mentioned, in 2 weeks they will either play the San Francisco 49ers or the Los Angeles Rams. The Redskins beat the Rams in the wild card game. It'll be the 49ers here. If the Rams score an upset over Washington, it'll be the Rams here. 2nd and 7 at the 33. Anderson again. Out of bounds at the 31. Elbert Watts.
And nothing against the Greater Chicago Chamber of Commerce, but this game bears a lot of meaning to the New York Giants because they do not want to go back to Chicago. And you know, Dick, early on in the year we talked about the Chicago Bears, the quality of their team, and the relative weakness of their schedule, and we wondered how anyone else in the NFC could get the home field advantage. You know, you really have to compliment the Giants that they pulled it off.
Somehow having the easier schedule doesn't always pay off. I think that's been proven down the years. 3rd and 5 at the 31. Rutledge up the middle behind Stacy Robinson, the intended receiver. Mossy Cade on the coverage. And it'll be 4th down. 45-24. The Giants lead the Packers. The most points the Giants have scored in 24 years. Allegre over on the sideline will come into the ball game. He has kicked a 46-yard field goal today, and that is his longest as a Giant. And this one would be his longest if he connects. A 48-yard attempt.
They're not going to get it off in time. Oh, they called timeout with 1 second left on the 30-second clock.
Packers leaving the game.
Setting a record for the most wristbands you can get on your arm. Ken Stills looks like he has 10 wristbands.
Tomorrow, the NFL Today kicks it off at 12:30. The Redskins against the Eagles, and Dexter Manley may be licking his chops, looking to overtake Lawrence Taylor and maybe even Mark Gastineau for the all-time sack leadership.
And then it'll be the Bears and the Dallas Cowboys down in Big D. And Allegre, a lengthy one for him.
48-yard attempt. He's already made good from 46 yards. 10 of his last 12 have been good. And a fake. Rutledge will run for the first down. Inside the 15. John Dorsey made the tackle.
Well, this is really going sound asleep if you're playing defense for the Green Bay Packers. In a game where they already have the lead, when you know that Allegre is weak from that distance, you've got to be a little more alert than that.
Someone out there may be saying, with a 45-24 lead, do you do that kind of thing late in the game?
Hey, you're serving notice to everyone you play in the playoffs. We'll do anything.
First and 10 Giants at the 13. Roussan gives ground and is knocked out of bounds, and a loss on the play. Back to the 21. The loss of 8. It was Tim Harris with help from David Greenwood, but Harris in particular looks like he's going to be around a long time on the Green Bay defensive unit.
He's going to be a great one, and he's already pretty darn good. An established, skilled pass rusher, 6'5", and he leads the Packers in that department, but a good heady ball player. I think we'll see him wearing the green and gold for a long time.
You saw the 6 sacks, but he has 2 of them today, so that's 8 on the year for him. Second down and 18 with less than 7.5 to go in the fourth quarter. Not too many fans have left here. He waited a long time. Rutledge. Incomplete. Solomon Miller was the intended receiver, and Ed Berry just got over there in the nick of time.
And that's a pass I think Jeff Rutledge would have preferred to have thrown about a half a second before he did. If he would have released the football just when Miller made his break to the sideline, that may have been a touchdown. As it was, he delayed a second already after Miller had taken the break, and that gave Berry time to react to the football and get in on the play. Give Berry credit, though. He recovered well, batted it away.
3rd and 18. Roussan. Lee Roussan will score. Second touchdown today for Lee Roussan. Giants are over the 50 mark, 51-24.
What an impressive pair of touchdowns for Lee Roussan today.
And I won't touch that one with Allegre looking for point number 52. 52-24. Lee Roussan, 21 yards.
Take a look at it. O.J. Anderson with the lead block puts Randy Scott on the ground. And that is the way you open up the middle. And Mossy Cade to the inside can't make the play. A big day for the Giants, and one that Lee Roussan certainly will.
For the Giants, 52-24. And on the kickoff, Davis. Kenneth Davis is stopped at the 28-yard line. Christmas Day coming up. NBA action and college football. The Chicago Bulls with the sensational Michael Jordan, who scored 50 against the Knicks the last time, starts it off at noon Eastern time.
And we'll follow that up with the John Hancock Sun Bowl. This will be Washington against Alabama. Don James, Ray Perkins, live 2:30 Eastern time, right here on CBS on Christmas Day.
1st and 10 Packers at the 28-yard line. To Kenneth Davis. Out of bounds. You know, this is not, obviously, with a 52-24 lead, a close ball game for the Giants. They're winning going away. But last year, the Giants lost 6 games by a total of 20 points. And that was one of their problems. They couldn't win the close ones. But this season, they have won 6 games by a total of 19. So not only have they learned to win close games, but as Harry Carson said, we have learned to win on the road, on Monday night as well, on the West Coast, and in come-from-behind situations. 2nd down and 1 at the 38. Wright. And Davis can't hold on. And Wright got rid of it quickly. Perry Williams covering.
And what's significant here for the New York Giants is that Lawrence Taylor's out of the ball game. He's gone to the Giant bench. So it looks like Mark Gastineau and his 22 sacks, which is the official league record. Keep in mind they didn't start keeping those stats until 1982. But Gastineau and his record are safe as Lawrence Taylor goes to the bench.
Only 3 tackles today for Taylor. Dexter Manley still has a chance tomorrow. He was 3 sacks behind Taylor coming into today's play.
If it was anybody other than Eagles, you'd say he didn't have a chance.
3rd and 1. to roost. First down, Packers, and the Giants, who normally play 17 or 18 men on defense, have brought in John Washington, a rookie from Oklahoma State, and Robbie Jones at linebacker. Washington up front. Greg Lasker, the rookie from Arkansas. And you talk about all the good depth the Giants have. Keep in mind that they traded Mark Haynes to Denver and Zimmerman to Minnesota for a bunch of second-round picks that have been translated into some of the names we just mentioned. First and 10 Packers at their 40. Winding down to 6 minutes to go. Randy Wright still firing. Picked off by Pepper Johnson. And we'll have another 15-yard penalty, maybe 5, but it'll be a face mask in any event.
Pepper Johnson, who had 2 sacks last week, a happy guy.
On the tackle, personal foul, face mask, 15 yards, first down.
Boy, the Packers have been guilty of a lot of that today.
Well, one thing to keep in mind, you have offensive linemen and receivers trying to make a tackle after an interception. They aren't professional tacklers, but what a great catch that time by Pepper Johnson, the rookie from Ohio State. Oh, right there was Rich Moran. Clearly with the face mask, and that draws 15.
Pepper Johnson, second-round pick out of Ohio State at 250 pounds. First and 10 Giants. Otis Anderson bursts up the middle to the 20.
Remember, Bill Parcells called Pepper Johnson a hybrid, and he said he's a perfect example. He's a cross between Harry Carson and Lawrence Taylor. Has the great size, the great speed, can play either inside or outside.
Green Bay mistakes, and 4-11 clubs will do that kind of thing. 5.5 remaining in the fourth quarter.
Especially when they're playing 14-2 ball clubs.
Second and 3 at the 20 for the Giants, who've already scored 52 points. Otis Anderson will have the first down for the Giants. Close to it. Donnie Humphrey and Mike Weddington. It is a New York first down. So what this game has amounted to is a regular season coronation for the New York Giants, who at 14-2 and 9 straight to finish up the regular year will go into postseason. And looking ahead to a possible matchup down the road between the Bears and the Giants here, but the 49ers, the way they looked last night, may have a big say. First and 10 at the 16. Anderson again. And they're getting O.J. some work, just in case. Down to the 14. Mike Weddington again.
If the Bears beat the Cowboys tomorrow afternoon, which we'll have here on CBS, they will both end up with those 14-2 records. And when the Giants lost to Seattle earlier this year, I wonder if they knew how much significance that game would take on by virtue of the fact that it's a non-conference loss. And the Giants only have then one conference loss, and that gives them the home field advantage all the way through instead of the Bears.
And that loss was the opening game of the season to the Dallas Cowboys on Monday night. Second and 7 at the 13-yard line. Roussan about a yard, and that's all. 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the ball game. Phil Simms, who struggled at one juncture today and came back strong. 3 touchdown passes, and as we said, his numbers have not been that impressive this year, but his ability to pull out victories in the late stages in some key games has been significant.
He's had a fine second half as the Packers have to go home, think about what happened, and think about next year. But I'm impressed with that football team. And if you're a Green Bay Packer follower, you've got to be proud of the way your team gave an effort today.
Third and 6, and it's Jeff Rutledge. And Elbert Watts came up strong and threw Rutledge down hard. You know, earlier in the year, well, it was after the Charles Martin situation, Mike Ditka actually blamed Forrest Gregg for allowing the rough stuff to happen.
Well, I don't know what purpose that serves. Of course, the Chicago Bears have never been involved in any rough stuff, have they?
No, no.
No. Boy, now there's a great example of the pot calling the kettle black. I like that. And of course, the Gatorade watch is on for Bill Parcells. Harry Carson, who's made a habit of sneaking up from behind. I think we'll keep an eye on Harry.
What did Harry tell us the other day in the locker room? He says, I think Bill's going to get me before it's all over. 4th and 2, and the Giants call a timeout with 2 minutes and 11 seconds to go in the regular season for the Giants.
Giving that extra effort makes winners. Be all you can be. Sponsored by the U.S. Army. One of the NFL's most intense competitors is number 55, Gary Reasons. The Giant linebacker is so relentless in his pursuit of the football that even referees have a tough time getting out of his way. By always going full steam on the football field and exhibiting extra effort when it comes to stopping an opposing offense, Gary Reasons is the best he can be.
Apache. There's nothing hotter in the air or on the ground for Jack Holt, Army crew chief.
The Apache's got advanced everything, like a TV for target acquisition. The gunner aims just by moving his head. Talk about hot. This bird can make tracks at 200 miles an hour. Now that's cool. No, that's hot.
All right after the Green Bay Giant game, we're going to go down to North Carolina for an excellent college basketball game. Down at the Dean Smith Center in Chapel Hill, it'll be the Tar Heels of North Carolina against the Fighting Illini. Now, Illinois, 7-0 on the season, and one of the high-ranked teams out of the Big Ten. And, of course, they will have Ken Norman. He's one of their fine inside men. And outside, they welcome back guard Doug Altenberger. So it'll be Mr. Inside, and there is Mr. Outside, if you will. The Tar Heels, they are loaded. One of the teams with a chance to go all the way to the Final Four. Their splendid floor leader, Kenny Smith, will direct things for Dean Smith. And that game is coming your way right after our football game. Reminder, tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern Time, the NFL today. And these are early games. Many of you will watch Washington as they fine-tune things for the playoffs. Now that they're breaking the huddle, let's send you back to Dick Stockton.
All right, Brent, and Raul Allegre will try a 26-yard field goal. 4th and 2 with 2:11 to go. And Rutledge will hold for Allegre, who has kicked a 46-yarder today. And then on a fake, Rutledge ran for a first down. Allegre's kick is good, and that ups the Giant lead to 55-24. Bill Parcells walked off the field after the loss to the Bears last year and said, I'm not happy. I want to get to the Super Bowl. Maybe that attitude had a lot to do about things this year for the Giants. Well, coming up, as Brendan mentioned, Illinois and North Carolina, and certainly one of the better intersectional games you'll find in any stage of the season, particularly right now. We'll get a good line on both teams.
Coming up, Bill Parcells' bath, too, I would think. Now, if you're Bill Parcells, I guess you have to let your team have their yucks at your expense. But you want to know something? On a cold afternoon, I think I might be standing on the sidelines with my back to the field. Right?
Coming up on the postgame show, we'll take a look at the Denver Broncos-Seattle Seahawks matchup. The Broncos need a victory to clinch the AFC home field advantage. Plus, the Greek will pick the game. And we'll have the results of a fan poll on which team is the fans' favorite in the NFL. That's coming up next on the postgame show. Allegre kicking off. And it's Watts at the 10. And Watts is down. Another penalty marker down. Watts is stopped at the 26 by Pepper Johnson with 1:59 to go. So we'll have our 2-minute warning plus this penalty here.
On the run back, number 99. Illegal block above the waist.
That was
10
John,
yards.
that was John Dorsey. And And a 2-minute warning is in effect. 1:59 officially, and a giant rout to win the home field.
Isn't it a little sparse?
That's the latest thing in trees. Your decoration.
Who could ask for anything more?
2-minute warning has been taken in this fourth quarter.
You think Bill Parcells on the sidelines is a little jumpy? Now watch him turn around and talk to Harry Carson. Somebody says, look out. Look out, coach, behind you. Yeah, look at this. Things are fun when you win.
Just a guy from New Jersey, he called himself.
Nerves of steel.
He ought to be sitting in the first row, then he may be safe there. First and 10, Packers at the 16. 55-24. And he got it. They got him.
We'll show you after the play.
Pass is caught by Davis out of the backfield to the 19-yard line. Lasker on the tackle. Sooner or later, you knew it had to happen. And it happened during that play. And it looked like it wasn't Parcells.
The water was flying over on the Giant sidelines.
Ron Earhart, the offensive coordinator, was the one who got it there. Parcells is still unscathed. You can see a little of the wet stuff on Earhart. 2nd and 5. Randy Wright out of the backfield to Paul Otkarut. Down at the 26-yard line. Robbie Jones and Pepper Johnson.
Here it comes right now. And a Gatorade ban for Bill Parcells.
He'd like 3 more of those.
You're a good sport, says Harry Carson.
Once upon a time, Carson wanted to be traded from the Giants because they had a losing image. He didn't think they were going to change it. That was once upon a time.
Why not take matters into your own hands? Harry Carson, going to his 8th Pro Bowl, has as much to do with their turnaround as anybody in a blue jersey.
Out of the backfield is Kenneth Davis, down by Pepper Johnson.
Okay, Harry. He has the Gatorade. He stirs it up. He stays low. Look at the good knee bend. And Parcells. Well, he avoided the shot to the head, but he got it from the waist down.
That'll do it. Our thanks to Marty Aronoff, our spotter, and Roger Riley, our statistician. The Giants have won the home field advantage throughout the playoffs by crushing the Packers finally 55-24 at Giant Stadium. We'll be back to the postgame.
Nobody has lower fares than United to more cities across this land. North to south, east to west, only United has low fares to all 50 states.
You're not just flying, you're flying friendly skies.
Us guys in Miller Lite usually kid around, but since it's the holidays, we like to get a little serious.
Yeah. Have a very Merry Christmas.
Joyeux Noël.
Feliz Navidad.
Yeah, thanks.
To family and friends.
Even the quarterback.
We wish you health, happiness, and peace. There you go, Uke.
Thanks, guys. Great seat. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.